Welcome aboard the Wedding Empires podcast with yours truly, Jac Ben, where we plunge into the depths of creativity, entrepreneurship, and the love-infused world of weddings. Each episode, we're going to unpack strategies, insights, and stories that empower you to craft the wedding business of your dreams. Welcome to the Wedding Empires podcast.
Hey everyone, it's Ben and Jac, and welcome back to Season 3, Episode 1 of Wedding Empires.
I didn't think that I'd get that much commitment out of you. 3 seasons. Wow.
I know. I'm just as shocked as you are to be here.
All this much material, actually.
I'm surprised as you are.
But here we are. Here we are. It's been a while, definitely.
It has been a long time between drinks, and you're on water today, which is... Are you all right?
You're covering last night's wine. What are you talking about?
I did a wedding yesterday. My lovely other half helped me with a wedding yesterday, and it was large. Yes.
Okay. Big night.
We're both sore today.
Ah. Okay.
We're both feeling.
You both look all right, considering.
Quite secondhand. Yes. She does look fantastic.
Anyway, the joys of working in weddings. Now we have somebody with us who I'm sure also understands the joys of working in weddings. Is that right, Angela?
Yes, I also shot a wedding yesterday.
Look, that was a good segue.
I love a cheesy segue.
That was a ripper. Yes. So we want to welcome Angela Brushe with us today. Angela is an amazing photographer from the Sunshine Coast, as well as many other things. So, Angela, do you want to share a bit about Angela? Who's Angela, and give us a bit about your background?
Well, hey, I'm Angela. I'm a photographer from the Sunshine Coast. I actually originally grew up in Adelaide. I had a passion for photography since I was about 14. It was the weirdest thing. I remember my dad handing me this little point and shoot camera at one of my mum's singing events. And he was just like, "Oh, Angela, just go take some photos." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I just got really excited and I started doing all these different angles. And then I think like a couple of weeks later, I said to Dad, "Oh, I think I might want to do photography." And my parents went, "Oh, here's another hobby that's going to cost us money." But lo and behold, Dad took me to Harvey Norman and I got a Canon 1000D at the time. And then I think about 2 months later, I was enrolled in a Cert 4, which I did I started it at the end of year 10 and then it went to the end of high school. So during high school, I was then also doing a Cert 4 in photography. And then after high school, I went and did an advanced diploma of photography. Then in between all of that, on the weekends, I was second shooting weddings in Adelaide. And then I was probably just puddling about for about a year between after TAFE. And then I found a job on the Sunshine Coast, which I actually originally thought I was applying for a job at the Gold Coast. And then they called me from Maroochydore and they were like, "Can you come up for an interview?" And I was like, "Sure, where is it?" And they were like, "Maroochydore." And I was like, "Oh, cool. I definitely thought this was the Gold Coast." Anyway, came up and then started to work in that photography studio for about 9 months. During that time, I just started to think, I'm not really happy with this full-time wage. I kind of would like to earn a bit more money. And I kind of thought, well, I have a bit of experience second shooting weddings. Why don't I just advertise for weddings? And of all things, I advertised on Gumtree, which I would not touch Gumtree with a 10-foot pole these days.
Neither would I as a groom. Yeah.
This is going back to like 2017. So like 2017, I started with this sale on Gumtree and had a couple people inquire. I remember one of my first clients wanted photos at One Tree Hill. And it's so funny because at the time I was like, what's One Tree Hill? Like, who cares about One Tree Hill? Like, so weird. I was like, what is this place? Anyway, rocked up, obviously realized it was one of the most photographed places on the Sunshine Coast for weddings. So I just got a couple banger photos from there. Pretty much just pushed that photo that I got from One Tree Hill on socials for about a year. And it just like made people think that I'd been on the Sunshine Coast for years, when in fact I had been photographing weddings on the Sunshine Coast for about 3 months. So And then from there, it just kind of like took off. And I just also had no idea that I had moved to the #1 spot in Australia for weddings. So business just zoomed, and then I decided to quit my job at the end of 2019, a glorious 4 months before COVID hit. I was so excited. I was like, wow, I can finally leave my job and be self-employed. And then 4 months later, COVID.
Yeah.
But we all pulled through COVID, so that was good. And it's brought us here today.
Right.
Wow. Yeah, it was such a great industry to be in, wasn't it? I had a wedding planning business and a travel agent license.
Mayday.
It was just like bombshell.
Yeah, and then the stress, the refunds, the credits, with me as a wedding planner, most of our job was done before the day. So, to have someone say, we can't go ahead, so can we get a refund? So that was challenging.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
So,
I think I got quite lucky. I think I had maybe only 1 or 2 people request a refund. Most of my couples actually just moved the date by a year, or they just kept it in that year, just had a much smaller wedding, or just like moved it further than a year. But I somehow got very lucky during that time. Don't ask me how. I just thank all my blessings.
Yeah. I was one of those people as well. I got pretty lucky during that time as well. So a lot of my clients just moved, and I was one of these people that didn't make it hard. Like, because everyone was giving back deposits and then charging fees for changing dates, and I'm just like, no, we got to wear it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I was the same. I was just like, I don't really want to make this any harder for anyone than it has to be, especially it's not like anyone saw COVID coming, so you couldn't just be like, oh, well, this is an inconvenient reason. It's like, well, the entire world has had this thing happen to them. Like, we may as well just try and work through it together rather than trying to get more money out of people, in my opinion.
I think it's a good run through if something stupid ever happens again, which I'm sure it will.
Yeah, look, I ended up spending a lot of money getting all my contracts redone. I had them done by a lawyer, but I thought, you know what, during this off time, there were a lot of things that I tweaked on the website and whatnot, but we definitely it was expensive. It was a couple, maybe $6,000 or something to get them all redone, but it was just watertight, in that if this happens, yes, we can move the date and whatnot, but if there's additional work required, it will be charged at this hourly rate, to move things around and whatnot. Like, all that stuff was fixed. So, I've since sold that business, but it's now definitely sort of protected for the future if something like that happens again.
Speaking of the future,
here we go.
Well, no, we're going to go to the present. So, Angela, because I'm the one who's put all these questions together, I do everything in this podcast, for God's sake.
Whatever.
No. So, because I've come up with all these questions, I'll probably be asking most of them, and Jack's just going to nod and smile for a bit of it. So,
he reckons.
Not in smile, but it's audio only.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Shut up, Angela.
Just spitting facts.
I've noticed you over the last sort of year or two, you've become a bit of a social media kind of queen, shall I say, on the Sunshine Coast. And there's a lot, you look on Instagram and there's a lot of Angela around. So in the most
I'm definitely a bit hard to miss, I will say.
Yeah. So for everyone, can you tell us, like, how, for the greater audience, how have you managed to grow your social media and do so effectively and relatively quickly? Here we go.
You know what, Ben, that's a great question. We're going to start at the beginning.
I did send you these before.
Which is almost going to lead off from where we just finished.
Right.
COVID. Start of COVID. Let's get to it. So, start of COVID, what did most people do? They jumped on TikTok.
Yep.
And I refused to look at TikTok for, I want to say, a good, couple of months. And then I had to do 2 weeks isolation at my parents' house in Adelaide. And so I downloaded TikTok. And firstly, I started it as a personal one, and I was just uploading some funny videos. Don't worry, those videos are all gone. You will never be able to find them. But then I decided to make one for Angela Brushe Photography. because I had, for the last 2.5 years up to that point, I was taking behind the scenes at a whole heap of weddings. So I had all these behind the scenes from weddings of like funny moments, groom reactions, champagne pops, you name it, fun posing ideas, whatever. And I just went, I'll give it a go. I'll start posting them. I remember the first video that I put on TikTok that went viral. I was sitting on my parents' couch and just watching the view numbers go up. And I was just like, Mum and Dad, I will take my dinner on a gold plate. Thank you. I am viral. And anyway, and then from there, I just, you know what it is? I think more than anything, it's posting consistently, for one thing. The algorithm just likes you more when you post consistently. So then once that one video on TikTok went off, a lot of my other videos started to go off.
So can I jump in there?
Yeah.
That the first video that you said went off for you, what were the characteristics of that video? Because we quite often hear people say, "Hey, yeah, we had a video, went viral," but they don't actually, like, no one shares what the characteristics of that video were. Like, what was it, like, what made it go viral is kind
How
of
graphic can I get? Because there's one element to the video that's why it went viral.
Okay.
Right, I share. Well,
Go on.
Okay, so it was the first one that went viral was from groom prep. And I love to do this one shot where I get the groom in front. I don't tell him what's happening. I get all the boys behind the groom. I get them far enough away that the groom realistically shouldn't be able to hear. And I get him into a bit of a huddle and I go, all right, I want you guys to like run at him. Give him like a big hug. Don't tackle him. Don't injure him. Don't injure the suit. But I want you to give him like a big hug. Give him a bit of a jump scare. There was about 7 groomsmen. They'd all had about a couple of beers each. I didn't even actually notice this until the comments started to come through. But so they all run at him and he's super scared and it's really funny. And then one of the groomsmen's hands went up and under his pants for like half a second. But like, so it was like a little like sack tap. But because it was in slow-mo, it was just this little like quick sack tap and then the hand went back out.
Never heard of it.
And then all these comments just started going, did you see the hand? And I was like, I didn't even see the hand until people started commenting that.
I was expecting something more outrageous, like a groomsman running up with his wang out or something like that.
Yeah.
Like that's
Wow.
I don't know what the rating is on this. I don't know if you've got it rated as G or PG,
Can I just ask, my most important question is, where does the phrase sack tap come from?
It's sack. Isn't it normally a sack whack or a, you know? Have you not heard of sack whack?
No. Sack tap.
God.
No. Is it a thing?
For everyone listening, Jack lives under a rock.
Well, I can assure you I don't. But like, is it like a preference thing? People go, I'm into sack taps.
No. It's a boy thing. Like,
what do you mean?
Boy thing.
You'll have mates that will walk past and just go tap, like with the outside, like the backhand of their hand, like just walk past and go like that. And just a little one like that, that'll fold you in half.
Seen this?
Yeah,
I just broke the third wall. There's another person here. Fourth wall.
A well-timed and well-placed sack whack will fold you in half as a boy.
Wow.
Sorry for all the ladies that are listening to this. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know.
You've all...
Another good one is sometimes you see the guy's face just go, ooh, because someone's like stuck a finger, like up his bum.
Okay, all right. Let's go back. Let's go back to TikTok.
Eject.
I think the point though is
you
that
see it all at weddings is what we're saying.
Well, it's the stuff that maybe you'd think about cutting out is the stuff that might make you viral.
Yeah.
Is that the lesson?
It's all I personally find the moments that people go viral for are usually the moments that you might not necessarily think to have the camera out, but you just happen to be recording at the right time and you just post it. But the other thing to consider is you could even post something at the right time that you think it's the right time, but then it's not the right time and the algorithm doesn't boost it. So it's like, I can't even just sit here and say, oh, if you do this, 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 and this, you'll go viral. It's like, you could do this, 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 and this, and the algorithm could just go, nah. Or you could just post something at a completely indifferent time, like, 10 p.m., and then for whatever reason, the algorithm goes, love that, gonna boost that.
But consistency is definitely...
I would say consistency is probably the hardest thing to do, but the thing that helps you through.
I'm going to agree with that because over the last couple of weeks, I've been posting a bit of behind the scenes stuff.
Yep.
And I did a wedding for a couple of gay guys a couple of weeks back, and I love doing same-sex weddings because it's a riot the whole day long. There's no traditions, there's no nothing. It's just fun and wild, and there was a lot of inappropriate things that were said and done by them and myself at that wedding, and I've been posting them on Instagram, like just short little clips with the actual photo that I took. Much to my horror, all of those clips have gotten more attention and more views and more everything else than my beautiful photographs that I've been training myself for 20 years to take.
Oh, so what was that one I commented on the other day? The one that was like, she was like spitting, or he was spitting the champagne like out of his mouth?
Yeah, so the groom's drinking the champagne, they're back to back, and she's spitting out a mouthful of champagne. So
it's fantastic.
And then there's one of me lying on my back shooting this gay wedding, and I'm the one going, who's your daddy? And they're losing it. And yeah, so.
Wow. There you go.
So I guess in answer to that, consistency and the things that you may not think should be shown so much could probably be shown more.
Look, I would say, and this is relevant to the 20th of October 2024, because in 3 months' time it could change. But at the moment, I'm finding the best ways to potentially go viral is use of relevant hashtags, but not using too many hashtags. So I never really tag more than like 5 to 7 hashtags. Using a trending sound, because realistically, unless you're a famous person, no one really cares about your original sound. It needs to be something that's trending or a song that's trending in the background, and then the algorithm likes that, tries to boost that more because it's showing that people are engaged to it.
Yeah.
And then you also need to be posting with a purpose. So it's like, you need to genuinely find that video funny, sentimental, emotional, whatever. If you don't actually think it's funny, no one else is going to think it's funny.
That's a really big point. Yeah, I like that.
Or like, if you don't find it sad, no one else is going to find it sad. If you don't find it, if it doesn't tug at your heartstrings, why would it tug at anyone else's heartstrings?
Okay.
So you have to believe in what you're posting. Like, if you just post for the sake of posting, people are going to see that.
So I'd like to know, how are you turning these interactions into actual inquiries, whether it's views or likes or whatever? Like, have you got tips around transferring them into an actual lead?
So the interesting thing with Reels and TikToks is that I wouldn't necessarily say that it's then turning into actual bookings straight away. Like, the whole thing with weddings is that you've got to play the long game, right?
Yeah.
So I get a lot of people that will say from a viral video, they'll start following me. But then they might not actually get engaged for like 18 months. But all you've got to do is get them to your profile, get them to start following you, and then from there they start to see my stories, they start to see my posts, I pop up more often. They then start to feel like they know me. By the time they actually get engaged, then they're like, oh my God, Ange, I've been watching your videos for so long. I'm finally engaged. Can you see if you're free on my wedding day?
Yeah, great. Okay.
So it's essentially a multiple touch point situation.
And do you have anything, like, how techie are you? Do you have anything set up where, like, you do a deal and someone DMs you, and do you play with any of those sort of tricks and messenger, like, funnels and things like that?
From time to time, I'll do discounts off packages. I try not to do them too often because otherwise I feel like it devalues your business. If you are just constantly doing a sale, people will just wait for the sale. You know what I mean? So you don't, ideally, you want people paying the price that the package is. You don't want them coming in on a sale. But in saying that, you know, coming up to Christmas, like when it's Christmas time, when it's a quieter time, you know, I do like to do a sale here and there. I usually don't let them go for too long. It's usually like, you know, 3 days, get your inquiry in, get your booking in. Yeah.
So I was talking to you a couple of weeks back now at an event we had on the Sunshine Coast here. And I was telling you how my Facebook ads account had been disabled because they didn't like my payment gateway and blah, blah, blah. So, and you had a bit of a laugh and you said, like, who needs to be calling me about Facebook ads and that sort of stuff? I do great on social media already. So my question there is, social media ads or sort of traditional and digital marketing, is that something that you use, or do you just rely on the generation of leads through your organic content that you post out?
If you're in the business of making dreams come true, listen up, because the Wedding Academy is your ticket to success. Running a wedding business isn't always a walk down the aisle. It takes skill, savvy, and a whole lot of know-how. That's where the Wedding Academy swoops in to save the day. Imagine easy-to-follow certificate courses taught by industry pros covering everything from wedding styling to floral design to even marketing and business for any kind of wedding business. All Wedding Academy courses are 100% online, self-paced, and come with ongoing training and support to keep you up to date. And here's the cherry on top. I've wrangled up an exclusive deal. Just punch in the code PODCAST when you enroll and bam, you'll score a sweet 5% off any course. Ready to take your wedding business to the next level? Then head on over to the Wedding Academy today at weddingacademyglobal.com. Don't forget to plug in that code PODCAST to check out with your special discount.
I would say these days I don't really touch Facebook ads. I will do boosted posts on Instagram, but I don't really do a lot of specific ad marketing, purely because I feel like these days with everyone a lot more engaged in short form videos and just funny things, that when you try and just purposefully sell to people, they're just disinterested. They don't want to be sold to. They would prefer to, you know, feel like they have a connection with you or a, you know, friendship with you, and then they're more likely to book. That's why I try and just always update my stories and update this and update that, because then when they are finally looking to do a family shoot, or they're looking to get married, or they're looking for a photographer for something, then when that story pops up, they go, oh, that's right, that's that photographer that I've been following.
Yeah. So I'm going to go a bit rogue here. I've got a question that's not on here, and Jack's like leaning backwards.
Well, I had a few questions of my own that I just thought up with my own brain.
You go.
No. I'm saying I've just done one.
Oh, well,
did I not do one?
Well, you kind of, you did.
I didn't like your one, so I tweaked
I hate it when mum and dad fight.
Whatever. Just it's been a while. So I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, yeah, the personal side of things. So you spoke about authenticity before, and over the last couple of years that I have noticed Ange everywhere, there's been like you're laughing now. There's been a bit of personal stuff that I've seen. So there's been, you know, reels of you sitting on the floor cross-legged, talking to the phone and that sort of stuff. I've seen photos of you from like not kind of semi-boudoir-y sort of shoots and stuff like that. how does the authentic personal stuff go alongside, I guess, the more what's the word I'm looking for, the stuff that you don't expect to see on a wedding day, so the behind the scenes stuff versus the personal stuff? Because I've seen you do a lot of both, and I'm curious as to how things have gone in that regard, and whether you've seen a difference in engagement, and it goes back to the whole authenticity thing.
So I always find that, minus the viral reels that I make, the posts, like the stagnant posts that I make that usually get the most engagement, is when I say something about my life. Whether that's a story, like on my stories, or whether that's just like a post of like this is what's been going on recently. Like I genuinely think people just enjoy getting to know the person behind the screen. They don't just want to view you as, again, this salesy person that's trying to get a wedding. Like, they want to have a friendship with you. Like, I would feel confident in saying that majority of my clients, even if I don't necessarily meet them before the day, they usually feel like I can walk into that wedding and pretty much just feel like a friend because they've been following me on Instagram for that long, or they've been replying to my stories, or they've been doing this, or they've been doing that. So I feel like and I do also feel like it's a fine balance. I don't want to get too personal, because also the amount of people that I have on my business profile don't need to know everything that's super personal about me. But I do feel like letting people in about general things, or things that are affecting a lot of people at the moment, and just showing that, like, I am human. Like, sometimes I have weeks where I just don't want to edit, or I am very overwhelmed with editing. Like, at the moment, I'm very overwhelmed with editing. It is like me behind a computer for like 12 hours a day doing the photo editing and the video editing, plus doing the sneak peeks, plus doing the admin, plus doing meetings. Like, it's a lot, but I feel like people appreciate it more when you're actually just honest about it, rather than just trying to be like, oh guys, like, it's all good, it's fine. Like, everyone's just like, that's bullshit. Like,
Yeah.
I find that so counterintuitive for me. Like, I'm a repressed head case.
If they really knew, they'd run.
So for me,
but that's what I mean. It's like, it's a very fine balance of like, you don't want it. Like, I do see some businesses that I would consider it possibly too much of an overshare. Like, I do feel like there's a difference between the personal stuff that you might see on Angela Brushe photography versus the personal stuff you see on my personal Instagram. So it's like, if you're seeing the stories on my personal Instagram, you know that you're there to, like, see the fun, see me on a holiday, like, see me out drinking, like, all the fun things. Like, on Angela Brushe photography, I would never post me, like, having a drink and, like, out partying. You know what I mean? So it's like being professional but being relatable. And then it's like, if you want to see, like, Ange just being Ange, it's like, you can just go to my personal account. But I do prefer to, like, keep those two things separate.
So as a creative or as an artist, I really struggle to differentiate myself from my work. And I think there's probably a whole lot of creatives out there that are listening to this that probably feel the same way. And I'm just not one of these people that sort of goes, oh, I'm just going to share a whole lot of not personal stuff, but share stuff about me on social media, because I'm like, do people really want to hear that? Do people really want to know? Like, do they really want to know about the repressed head case that is me? Or do they just want to
know?
Like,
It's there's a lot to that question, because I think of, like, I love the Real Housewives, for example. Like, I think of Bethany's just come to mind, if any of you know who that is.
I don't know who you're talking about.
You do?
No, I don't.
Okay, well, she was a Real Housewife.
My guilty pleasure was the Real Housewives of Melbourne.
Yeah, there you go.
Loved it.
But Bethany's just come to mind because she went on a reality show. She came up with the Skinny Girl Margarita. She sold it to Jim Beam for like $100 million or whatever. And now she's, super famous, got this whole Skinny Girl brand, which has turned into shapewear and all the rest of it. But everything is authentically her. and her podcast is like she's super smart, but she's ditzy, and she tells these funny like stories that are like stuff that's really happening in her life, her divorce, her being a single mom now, and I just lap it up, like, because she's just, it's like, if she didn't do that, you'd be like, oh, that's Bethany and she's a businesswoman or whatever. But listening to these stories, I kind of buy into her brand and her public persona much more.
Right. Yep.
But I don't know, like, that's just an example that came to mind, in that, you know, that's somebody who does it really well, and she's warts and all what she's showing, you know, the ups and the downs, the divorce, the, you know, all that sort of stuff.
So I guess the moral of the story is creatives, don't be afraid to share yourself and your work.
Just made me not your OnlyFans.
Yeah. Well, I don't have one of those. You know. What? So the link to Jac's OnlyFans is in the comments.
So just follow my link in bio.
Link is in the
Spicy link.
Yes. So I guess, Angela, to sort of wrap us up a little bit, what advice would you give someone who's just starting out their business when it comes to socials? Like, what platforms, what should they do, you know, and that sort of thing?
It's really hard because this might get outdated very quickly, because social media changes so much all the time. So say back in 2020 to probably beginning of 2022, I would have said TikTok. Now I'm not going to say that TikTok's nothing, but I do feel like the algorithm has changed quite significantly, that they're trying to go more towards paid ads, and they're not doing as much of just letting videos just go viral unless you're paying. So these days I've actually found it better on Instagram. Probably at the beginning of the year, I started actively trying on YouTube, because I had an instance where I had this groom reaction go just absolutely gangbusters. I think across all my socials, it would have got by now over 30 million views.
Wow.
And this one company had messaged me and had been like, oh, can we use your video on YouTube? And me being naive, I went, oh yeah, sure. Like, I don't care. Like, that's cool. Like, I'm not making any money off it. Like, go for it. Like, you know, if I can get some exposure, just make sure, you know, you tag Angela Brushe photography. Anyway, and then it was so funny. My boyfriend, who does not use social media, but he watches YouTube, found that video and was like, hey, Ange, your video has like 22 million views on this YouTube account. And I was like, what? And then he explained to me that because they had over 1,000 subscribers, they actually had more like almost 1 million subscribers, and the video had 22 million views, the amount of money they would have made off that video disgusted me. Like, I'm talking, I think from a quick Google, they would have made like $5,000 off that video.
Yeah, wow.
Which then, because I had said okay in air quotes, I'm doing air quotes and I just realized this is audio, but because I had said in air quotes it was okay, then, oh, what was that? I just got balloons on. Okay, we're going to start that again anyway.
It's because you're doing air quotes. You're on an apple, so that's. Oh, don't start that. No, put that away.
Where's the hug?
So because I had said it was in air quotes okay, there's nothing I could do about it. Like, I can't go after them. I can't tell YouTube to take it down. Like, so all I had to do was pretty much cop that on the chin and then be like, well, you know what? No one's using my stuff ever again on YouTube, and I am going to try and make myself something on YouTube. So now I am also like, I think like 800 subscribers away from like 40,000. And that's like, most of those subscribers is from that one reel. So I ended up posting that groom reaction, and I think now on YouTube it's got like 10 million views.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, there's a lot. I'm not going to ask you the other questions, like how do you think social media is evolving, because we've kind of
covered it.
Yeah.
It's evolving quicker than any of us can keep up, and I hate to say it, but it's like social media is like a sink or swim.
I'd like to know, after you do a wedding, and you've edited your pictures and everything like that, how much time do you dedicate to sort of chopping those up and making reels and getting that sort of material out of that wedding?
I'm actually the worst. I do not plan anything until about 30 minutes before I'm going to post it. I will literally just scroll through the reel section, or I'll go to trending audio, and then I'll just pick an audio, and then just in my head, I'll be like, oh, let's do this wedding, or oh, I haven't posted this wedding in a while, or oh, I'll just do this, and I will just make it up in like 20 minutes and then post it, not think about it again. Because I had a job. So after the first job I worked in Queensland, I then worked for an activewear company, and that job was a lot of I need it done yesterday. So I got very good at being able to just do things in the spare of the moment, which is probably very toxic, but it has made me in turn very good at social media because I can literally just pump things out.
Yeah, wow. Great.
Okay. That's what I need to do.
Well, it sounds
I need to be a bit more fluid.
Yeah.
Be the teapot.
Right.
But I think also once you get in the hang of it, then it becomes easier.
Yeah.
So also, like, for example, my groom reactions. I know that if I post a really good groom reaction, it's going to go viral because I know exactly how I need to edit it and what text I need to put to keep people interested to then get to the end.
Sure. Yeah. Wow.
Oh,
well,
thank you, Angela.
Thanks, Angela. That's been informative, and
it has. Yeah. I'm quite scared of TikTok, so I've got
that's fair.
to get out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a TikTok fan, so at all.
But it's a lot of people are in our position where you know we've got beautiful content, right? It's just
yeah. Look at me. I'm.
Anyway,
well, honestly, like I said, I don't even know if I would bother with TikTok at the moment. I would put your time and effort into Instagram.
Yeah, wow. Angela, how can people find out more about you? Have you got a social handle that's the same across your accounts?
Yeah, so please find me on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at Angela Brushe Photography, which is ANGELA BRUSHE Photography.
Awesome. And what's the website?
It was www.angelabruschephotography.com.
Awesome.
And do you help people with social media at all?
Yes. If anyone would like to send me a message, feel free. You can pretty much just slide on into my Instagram DMs and I can send you some prices on social media mentorship if you would so like.
Awesome. Thank you.
In stereo. All right.
Thanks, Angela. Lovely speaking with you.
Thanks, Angela. Yeah. It's been fun, and no doubt I'll run into you again.
This episode of Wedding Empires is brought to you by the Wedding Academy, where you can start and grow your wedding business. We offer certificate courses, group coaching programs, and a whole heap of templates and worksheets and things to help you get started and grow your wedding business. For more information, visit weddingacademyglobal.com. And don't forget to use your 5% discount code PODCAST when checking out.